How's it going, guys? In this video we will be creating a map on SwiftUI that you can put in your iOS apps. Adding a map to your app can provide a real increase in the user interface and user experience whilst people are using your app. And it can be done in just 2 steps. So, let's begin. First, we need to import the MapKit framework that I provide, which will be just above the SwiftUI import we currently have. Then we will create the map initializer in our creating a map on Swift struct, or whatever you have called it. The typical standard struct when setting up a file is content view. So if you have content view, put it in content view. If you have your struct name something else, put it in there. It's fine. The syntax of the struct doesn't actually matter. Let's get into the real thing and start practicing, because that is easily the best way to learn, not just learning some theory and never getting into it. So, let's begin. As I mentioned, the first step will be to import the MapKit foundation. This is just simply one line of code, import MapKit. Make sure that the map and kit are capitalized. Next, we can actually add the map to our view struct. So now we will put the MapKit on and get the initializer, and we'll put that in a VStack. You do not necessarily need to put in a VStack, but it's always good practice so that you become accustomed with using syntax such as VStack, HStacks or ZStacks. So within the VStack we will add the map initializer, and once the canvas is loaded you will see our map loads nicely across the whole phone, giving us the Apple Map Kit. Nice. The next step is we can add the map style modifier that I talked about in the second step. So simply we go down to map within the VStack, and then we type in full stop to access the modifier classes, and then we type in map style. Then within the map style we have 3 possible options: hybrid, imagery or standard. Standard is the standard and is the one that appears when we first load the map kit. As you can see, it's exactly the same. Now let's try imagery, which gives a bit more of a detailed view and something you might see on an OS map if you were to go hiking. But as you can see, there's no location names at all. Then if we try hybrid, we get essentially the same view as imagery, but we actually get the place names: England, Paris, Wales, yada yada yada, the seas, etc., etc. Also, with hybrid, we can add things such as elevation, points of interest, and showing traffic, depending on what you want your app to do while showing your map. So then also with standard we have essentially the same thing, but then we also have emphasis, and in imagery we can only show elevation. When creating apps and using a map, I personally always used to like hybrid, and then I can also use elevation, and I usually use realistic. But feel free to play around with it yourself, whether you like flat, automatic or realistic. It's up to you, and it's your app. You can make whatever decisions you want. So let's set it back to realistic. Nice. Also, within the map initializer, we can pass in various parameters. In this video, I'll be showing you how to pass in the interactive modes parameter and the various arguments that we can pass in. So the interactive modes parameter essentially allows us to dictate to the user what they can or cannot do, and it must be in square brackets because we can add multiple items and it's more of an array type structure. So as you can see, we have all, pan, pinch, rotate and zoom. So if we do all, it means we can have everything, but if we do pan, you'll see that we actually get a nice globe-like effect on this 2D map. So if on the simulator canvas you simply get your mouse, you hold down and you scroll the direction you want, you'll get a globe-like effect as if you were holding a real globe and are able to spin the globe. Cool. A really nice effect. I do like this one. The next argument we'll look at is the rotate. The rotate does what it says on the tin, just like Ronsil. For this, on your Mac, you will need to hold down the Option button, and therefore two little finger-like indexes will appear, and that will allow you to rotate on the map like such. This is an okay one. I personally don't like it. I'd prefer to use a zoom or a pinch for this, personally. Okay, nice. Finally, the aforementioned zoom. This does what it says on the tin, again another Ronsil, and simply in your canvas just go on the map and double click to wherever you want to go. Alright, cool. And if we leave the interactive modes arguments empty, the user will not be able to do anything on the map. They won't be able to pinch, zoom, rotate, or pan, or any of that jazz. Okay, cool. And that is maps in SwiftUI. We did it in 2 simple lines of code. We imported the MapKit foundation and then put the map initializer in our content view, or again whatever view you have called, and then we added some nice modifiers, one modifier and then a parameter to the map. Alright, and that is MapKit in SwiftUI. That's a basic map. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you followed along, well done. You officially know how to create a nice basic map on SwiftUI. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.